Hello everyone, it's been a while since my last video, but I recently made a framework to better help myself and hopefully you guys as well. In my last video, I briefly covered resources that proved to be helpful to me, so if you haven't already watched that, I suggest going back there first and then coming back here afterwards. But I want to explain, what does it mean to better maintain language learning? Well, for me, this means to actively be producing your target language daily. I fell into a bad habit myself to where I would prioritize doing daily practice, but it would only be with input-based activities. And I found myself in rough situations when I actually had to produce my target language and I kind of just hit a wall. This framework serves as a way to better help you produce the language on a daily basis and where to fit your time into it, and also a good way to actually track your progress as well. And this framework is pretty flexible as well, so you can make it as intensive as you want, as long as you're hitting the basic requirements of output per day, which we'll go over soon. Everything I'm discussing today has been made in Notion, so if you don't currently have it, I would suggest downloading that first and coming back afterwards. Should also be a link to a viewer's template in the description down below, so if you want to click that, and that should also prompt you to download Notion, that way you can follow along as we go. But with that being said, I will catch you guys in Notion.
All right, guys, so now we are inside of Notion, and this is the template that I've made. I know it might look a little bit questionable, but we're going to work with it, okay? If you guys are good at this, change it and do what you can with it. So just a brief overview of what we have on the screen. On the left-hand side, we just have a nice little picture. I like to reserve this spot to put something up that reminds you of why you're doing what you're doing, or put a picture to motivate you to keep on going. In the middle, we have our table where our framework lives, and this can be easily adapted to your life or your schedule as long as you make the time for it and put in the work. I think it is super important that everyone has at least 1 to 3 milestones to work towards for the month, as it gives you something to look forward to and actually challenge yourself to make sure you're actually making progress in your language. And as you can see, the progress tracker also comes with its own weekly goal as well, which is just as important as your monthly milestones. And then down below, you see that the progress tracker has days for not only the whole week, but the whole month as well. And the purpose of this is to just click through these boxes. After you complete the non-negotiable for the day, you can click through these boxes. It even gives you a little progress status on the side. You can also change the month up here. You can just edit here and just change the month as it goes on. And we also have a goal planner or a calendar on this side. And this is important. I will show you how I use my calendar. If you guys really don't find a benefit from it, you don't have to use it, but I think it's neat for those who do want to incorporate it. All right, so we're back up top and we're going to cover what's in this table and how we're going to get started on it. So the core purpose of this framework is centered around an output activity, but you're also prioritizing feedback as well. And you're going to hear me say output versus input based activities a lot. And the difference is output is where you're producing your target language, and input is when you're taking in your target language. So here are some ideas I thought of. You have 4 options, but if you have another one of your own, you can gladly add it in here. But first we have social media, and then you have documenting, you have journaling, and you have tutoring. These are all things where you should be producing the language, but you can also get feedback from people to correct you. Now for documenting, this would essentially mean posting videos of yourself recapping your day or whatever you want to talk about and uploading them on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. And you have, people giving you feedback in the comments or whatnot. And the social media could just be just texting people. You don't really have to post anything if you don't want to, but you're texting other people and keeping in touch with others. And for journaling, I know there is a website to where you can post and write stories of some sort and people can correct you and reply to it. I forgot the name of it, but once I find it, I could link it in the description. If that is something you're interested in, then I suggest you can do that as well. Next, we have our accountability task. And the core purpose of this category is to push the non-negotiable beyond its expected constraints. For this category, I would ask yourself, what could I do to take it a step further? This should end up with you being more involved with the activity that you chose for your non-negotiable. For example, we have, so making a post or sending voice notes. This is taking a step further if you're on social media rather than just, sending a text to a friend or having a conversation just once a day. For documenting, this could be for documenting your videos. You could leave a question at the end of your entry and reply to comments, being more involved with it. And for tutoring, you can bring up topics that you struggle on with a friend or a tutor. This way you could get help and go into more depth about what you're struggling on and actually be accountable fill for what you are missing. Next, we have our signal cues. So the purpose of this is to make habit builders throughout your day to keep you anchored to your target language. And that is super important. Think of the points of the day where you have free time or when you're in the process of doing something, but you could still take on another task at the moment. Some examples I made for this is during a meal, you can watch a video. During your commute, if you're someone who takes public transport to school or you go to, on the bus or something, you can listen to a podcast in the car as well. And then before bed, you can also journal. I mean, of course, these things don't have to all be used, but I'm just saying these are points throughout your day that you could find something to incorporate in your life. Whatever works best for you. I know I'm not really a podcast person, but I like to watch videos. I like to journal. So that's what I personally enjoy to do. Then we have our last category. This will be an activity that will act as a weekly test for you. This will be a once a week activity that will serve as a challenge for you to see how far you've gotten throughout that week. I'm going to stress that the activity that you choose should be high pressure and somewhat uncomfortable. I know that when you're first starting out language learning, the first thing you don't want to do is make mistakes and talk to people and blunder every single thing that you say. But that is important, as that is how you get feedback and criticism for what you're doing wrong and how to improve. It is not bad. You guys need to lean into it, because I know I didn't at first, but once I started to, I got massive improvements. So here are some examples of mine that I made. So first, you could participate in a voice room. For example, Hello Talk, or there's Discords. I know there's like Discords for language groups out there. You could do that. There is teaching back a concept with a tutor. So if you already know something and it's something that is familiar with you, you could try to explain it back in the target language that you're learning. That way, it's not something that you're totally uncomfortable talking about, but you would still also get good feedback if you mess up or you're not getting the concept right. Then we have spending the entire day in that language, which is crazy to say, but if you can truly go the whole day trying to think in your target language, switching your phone to your target language, only searching up the internet in your target language, that is a good test to see what you're struggling on. If you're someone who likes to write or document, you can summarize 5 journal or video entries with one big weekly recap. And if you really want to push the boundary, you could even try writing an argumentative topic. This is good because if you're someone who's taking language seriously, you want to build an academic muscle with the language, as it will be great to enhance your vocabulary. An argumentative topic could be something simple as why you think the city is better than the countryside or the suburbs, or vice versa. Just something very simple that you could still talk about with ease. It doesn't have to be anything complex, and you do not want to stress yourself out on trying to argue as you would in your native language. And then the last one we have is teaching something either written or spoken. Now, this is the same thing as teaching back the concept to a tutor, but this can be applied to a friend, or if you just want to upload it online. It's the same concept basically, but you're just doing it with someone who I guess isn't your tutor. I think this is good as well, as same thing. If you're teaching something that you know, you're more comfortable to write or speak on it, and the more feedback you get, the better. And I'm going to stress that for your weekly activities, you should not be relying on any translators, any Google, any AI, nothing. It should be completely on your own, as you will not know what you're struggling on if you're using translators, dictionaries, AI, whatever. It needs to be totally on your own. Now, if you're doing your daily stuff up here, like social media documenting, journaling, or tutoring, and you need some help and you can't think of a word or something, that is totally okay if you have to lean on the internet or a translator. But when you're trying to challenge yourself and see what you don't know, you do not want to rely on those for this once a week activity. But I will go over what mine looks like so that way you guys can draw inspiration and see what you guys can do for yourselves. All right, so here we are on my side of things. So starting off with my table, in the middle for my non-negotiable, I have Hello Talk. That's what I chose for my main output. And you guys see for my details, I gave myself my own little rules, is at least trying to have one conversation per day. Now, this isn't like the max. This is like the bare minimum for me. So I have to do at least these things in order for me to check off one of these boxes and say, you know what, you did something today, you made progress, right? So start a new conversation, or have a conversation, must be something new. Can't just recap the same thing. Has to be self-formulated. So nothing that I'm looking up constantly or trying to rely on AI or translators or anything. And it has to be at least 3 to 5 voice notes. Down below from that, we have making a post every other day, or joining a voice room or a live stream. Now, I don't often join voice rooms or live streams, but when I do, it's good to practice with listening or speaking, as it kind of allows you to better prepare yourself and you're not going to know what you're going to get. Then for my signal cues, I chose during a meal, I can watch a video being on YouTube or LingoPie. During my work break, I can watch one TV5 Monde lesson or complete one. If you guys are a learner of French, I suggest downloading this app on the App Store. It's a really solid app. And then for my before bed, I have completing a grammar lesson and doing my Anki. And this is all what I do, try to fit in my day as just some things to incorporate French more in my life besides from just, having Hello Talk. And then down below for my weekly test, I have one argumentative topic or a weekly recap, or I can host a voice room or a live stream. And once again, I often don't do that every time, but sometimes I do. But more than often, I am recapping with an argumentative topic or a weekly recap, but I have the options. Now for my monthly milestones, mine are not anything crazy, and you can make yours as crazy as you want to be or as simple, but they need to be something that you can realistically work towards in 30 days, right? So mine are not anything crazy. I have writing one full page on a monthly recap. Then I have finished Dear You. It's a show that I'm watching and it's quite long, so I gave myself a month to finish it. And then lastly, I have join and participate in one Hello Talk voice room. Now, my monthly milestones aren't anything crazy either. These should be something that you can realistically work towards within 30 days. And it should be something sort of challenging, but it doesn't have to be anything crazy, right? So for me, I have write one full page on a monthly recap. I have finished Dear You, which is a show that I'm watching on LingoPie. Really good show. And then lastly, I have join one and participate in one Hello Talk voice room. Then below that, here's my progress tracker. We're still going through this month. I don't know when you guys are going to see this, probably on the New Year's, but it is still December for me. I have, I missed a couple of days here and there where I was not on the app frequently, so I didn't mark them. But yeah, so far I have been doing pretty good with keeping up with Hello Talk and at least getting that done for the day. So I mark off these boxes when I can. And then up top, we have our weekly milestones. For me, I have 7 lessons of RCIF French. If you are a learner of French, this is a really good website. It basically takes excerpts from news coverage and it makes little lessons on them, like little quizzes and lessons. I like to read the transcript and go through the transcript, try to find any words that I don't understand yet, translate them, reread it, then write it in my own words, and then go back to the test portion of the website and take the test based on the article. So I try to do one every day, hence why it says 7. But if I'm feeling into it, I will do maybe 2 or 3. Then after that, I'm out. But at least 1 a day. Then lastly, for my goal planner, the reason why I said this is somewhat useful is in case that you are someone who can't visualize when you might have the time to do something like your weekly test or just whatever. I like to put the days that I have work, and then I also have the days that I can schedule. All right, this is a day I'm going to dedicate to trying to do my one weekly recap or my one argumentative topic. So far, I have not filled out the whole month yet, but I just go 1 week at a time for my weekly test. But I can see pretty far into January on the days that I'm busy and I'm like, okay, I probably couldn't dedicate that day to doing that. But yeah, if this is something that would work for you, I suggest taking advantage of it. But that is essentially my whole system or my framework that I've been using with Notion. I think this is a really neat idea. I personally don't know if it's going to be the most helpful to you all. I think this has been something helpful to myself personally. If you guys have any ways that you can make this better or any suggestions, I'm all open to hearing it. I know this is my first time making a template in Notion, so it's not the craziest, but here we are. We're just learning, right? But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, I will be happy to answer them down below, and I will see you guys next time.